Hello, and welcome back to the Striha Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Parker Striha, and on today's episode, I am going to be discussing the NFL Pro Bowl. I'm by no means professional, but I do love talking about sports, so thank you for joining me. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different than previous ones that I have posted, because I'm just going to be one cut, completely unedited, kind of ranting about the NFL Pro Bowl and why I am disappointed in it. As an avid NFL fan, like I said, I am extremely disappointed in the product the NFL has been putting out with the Pro Bowl for the past 5 or 6 years. But I mean, this year was absolutely horrible. I think I watched maybe the first 5 minutes of the game before I just shut it off because I couldn't watch any more of it. It's almost taking away the game of football and turning it into a flag football league, but it's not even flag football. Yesterday's game had players running around and obviously, you don't want players to get hurt. I completely understand that. I don't want to see an NFL player, especially a superstar, like a guy like Justin Jefferson or Deebo Samuel, TJ Watt. I don't want to see any of those guys get potentially career-ending injuries in a game that's pretty much meaningless. But at the same time, I want to watch good football. I don't want to watch professional athletes running around playing two-hand touch when they're getting paid millions of dollars. Obviously, the money doesn't really affect that because you could be making the smallest contract in the league and still make the Pro Bowl, and that's another topic I'll talk about in a little bit probably. But I just don't like it. I don't want to watch a game that I love so much become basically playground football in what should be an exhibition game of the best players in the entire league. And it's bad, and I know it's bad when former and current NFL players like Shannon Sharpe, Pat McAfee, J.J. Watt, they're all pretty much dogging the Pro Bowl and saying how bad it was because it pretty much wasn't football. These guys aren't hitting. I think there was one tackle in the entire game, which I can't believe even happened, but that's besides the point. It just doesn't make sense. It takes the fun out of the game as a fan. That's why I watch football, is because I like seeing the hits. I like seeing exciting plays. But I mean, when I say that, I can kind of compare it to the NBA All-Star game where you have guys shooting from half court just because. That game has the score of 190 to 180 almost every year, it seems like. So, I mean, I can't really compare them, but I know it's an exhibition. It should be fun. It should be exciting, but it's not. I think the most exciting part of yesterday's game was Mac Jones's gritty on a touchdown run that didn't even count because he was forehand touched down shortly after he even started taking off. I just don't like it as a fan. And I think as the NFL, I think the NFL needs to look at it and look what they're putting out because they're really going to lose viewers, in my opinion, when they're putting out a game like this that people don't want to watch. They don't want to watch professional athletes playing playground football. They want to watch an actual football game. And that's just not what the NFL has been doing. They get money for viewers. They get money for sponsors and everything like that. And when you're putting out a game like that, that's so bad, you're going to lose that money because viewership of the event is going to go down. But like I said earlier, I don't want to see players get hurt, so I understand that they're not hitting, they're not tackling, they're not really going as hard as they can because no one wants... NFL players, I don't think they want to hurt each other, obviously. And as fans, we shouldn't want to see them get hurt, especially in a game that's pretty much meaningless. But I don't know. I was just extremely disappointed. I don't like watching bad football, and the Pro Bowl for the last couple of years has been bad football. There's really no other way to put it. And to go alongside with bad football, it's just bad players. And obviously not every player in the Pro Bowl is bad. And that's by no means what I am saying. But when a couple years ago you have a guy like Mitchell Trubisky making the Pro Bowl, that's just unacceptable. Like, no offense to Mitchell Trubisky, but he is not one of the 6 best quarterbacks in the league. And I know every year you're going to have 1 or 2 of the best quarterbacks in the league in the Super Bowl. You're going to have some of the best quarterbacks in the league not want to play in the Pro Bowl, which is understandable. Guys like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady shouldn't have to play in the Pro Bowl if they don't want to, but at the same time, you shouldn't just be putting any quarterback you want in the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl itself is the NFL's all-star game where you should have the best players at every position that aren't in the Super Bowl and that aren't hurt playing in one game. It should be the best NFC players against the best AFC players duking it out for conference supremacy. And that's just not what it is. And it's really disappointing to watch because, that's why I used to turn into the Pro Bowl. You'd see the best players in the league duking it out, trying to see which conference was better, trying to one-up each other. When you could have a guy like, I don't know if this ever actually happened, but you could have a guy like Darrelle Revis playing DB with a guy like, I don't know, Larry Fitzgerald in his prime. You can see those two going head-to-head in the Pro Bowl and actually trying instead of just, okay, there you go. There's your ball. You catch it. It just ruins the fun. I want to see the guys compete, and they don't compete. You could even see in yesterday's game, the guys are jogging, they're speed walking. They're really not putting any effort out. And I know it's the Pro Bowl. Like I said, it's meaningless. They don't want to get hurt because some of them are probably up for contract extensions. Some of them are really good and just don't want to get hurt because obviously you don't want to get hurt. But at the same time, I don't know. It's bad. They need to fix it. That's really all I can say. I know this rant has kind of made no sense and it's been kind of short. I'm just kind of going here and there. But at the same time, I'm just kind of saying what comes to mind because I am extremely disappointed in the product that the NFL has been putting out with this game recently. I want them to go back to like the early 2000s where you have the fun events. You have the quarterback throwing challenge. I don't know what it was actually called, but you had guys back then like John Harbaugh, Drew Bledsoe, Brett Favre, taking a football and seeing how far they could throw that thing. And now we have dodgeball. Dodgeball is cool. I loved it in high school, but at the same time, I don't really want to see professional athletes playing dodgeball. And it's not even the best players on their team playing. It's just kind of a ragtag group of guys from the team. And I want them to go back to the early 2000s, early 2010s, where the Pro Bowl was fun to watch as a fan. You looked forward to the Pro Bowl. It wasn't just a weekend between the conference championship and the Super Bowl. I don't think they're going to change it. I don't even know how they would change it other than completely taking out the fans voting. And I think if they did that, it's really going to upset people, and they don't want to do that because they don't want a bad name for the league. But honestly, I think that's what they need to do. I don't think they need to completely take out the fans voting. They don't need to take out the fans voting spot of it or the piece of it. They just need to limit it because like the NBA All-Star Game a couple years ago, you have a guy like Zaza Pachulia who is one of the top vote getters, and he's the 10th man on the roster. And I know the NBA and NFL are super different, but at the same time, you shouldn't be having these guys that aren't... obviously, if you're in the NFL, you're good. You're a good football player, so you deserve to be playing professional football, but I don't think you deserve to be considered one of the best players in the league. Like I said earlier, with a guy like Mitch Trubisky, I just don't like that. He shouldn't have been there, and that seems to be the way the Pro Bowl is going. You're not having the best players. You're having the players that get the most votes, and I think it's stupid. I think it's stupid. You have a guy like Mac Jones this year who was in the Pro Bowl over a guy like Josh Allen. Obviously, Josh Allen was Mac Jones was in the playoffs too, but Josh Allen was in was the divisional round of the playoffs and he lost. I can understand why he didn't play in the Pro Bowl Same with Aaron Rodgers, two of the best quarterbacks in the league, not in the Pro Bowl. And obviously Tom Brady, but he was retired, so I don't know how that all would have worked out. But they need to change it. They need to either limit or completely take out the fans voting for the Pro Bowlers. I don't know how they'd actually change it if they'd have the top, like the leaders for every single stat, like passing yards, receiving touchdowns, stuff like that. I don't know how they'd actually do it, but I think something needs to be changed because I think if this year's Pro Bowl was a sign. They're putting out bad content. People don't like it. Players don't like it. It's only going to drag the reputation of the NFL Pro Bowl down, and I think it's going to reduce their viewership. Obviously, these guys are getting millions of viewers for every week, no matter what. Like, people love watching football, and they're going to watch football. But this 1 week shouldn't drop the NFL viewership like I think it will, because they should be putting a good game out. Like, the Pro Bowl used to be an honor. Obviously, I've never played in the NFL, so I don't know how much of an honor, but to be considered by your peers and people around the world as one of the best players in the league playing in the Pro Bowl, the NFL's All-Star game, it used to be an honor. And now you're seeing guys that are Pro Bowlers, but they were there as an injury replacement. They were there because they got a lot of fan votes. It just doesn't make sense. Like, if I was, say a guy like Baker Mayfield didn't really have a great year this year, but he probably could have been a Pro Bowler if fans voted for him enough, and I think that's awful. I think it needs to be changed. You can't let players get into an all-star game, into a game that was considered an honor by players 20 years ago, just because fans liked them. Fans thought it would be funny to get them into the all-star game just because they could. So I don't know how it's all going to work out. Obviously, the NFL is getting criticism by fans, players, and I'm sure people inside the league, like GMs, executives, like they didn't like the product that was being put out. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they loved it. They thought it was an exciting game. Don't know how, but to each their own. Everyone has their own opinion. I don't know how it's going to get changed. I don't think it will get changed, at least anytime soon, but you never know. I've been surprised in bigger ways, smaller ways. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I want it to get changed. I would love if it got changed. I would probably cry tears of joy if it got changed, because then the Pro Bowl would finally be exciting to watch. But, oh well. I guess, this isn't like boycotting the Pro Bowl, but if they're going to keep putting this product out, I'm done watching it. I think it's a waste of a couple hours on a Sunday that I could be spending doing countless other things instead of watching playground football with professional athletes. I guess only time will tell. Maybe I'll be more disappointed. Maybe I'll be happily surprised, and I can continue watching the game I love. But, oh well, I guess they won't cry over me not watching it, and I'm not asking people to stop watching it, because obviously if people love football enough, they're going to keep watching it no matter what. I love football, but I can't stand watching bad football at any level. If it's not exciting, I'm not going to watch it. Plain and simple. So that's really all I've got. I'm your host, Parker Striha, and this has been the Striha Sports Podcast. Our random sport fact of the day is that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the NBA's all-time leading scorer with 38,387 points. As always, thank you for tuning in, and don't forget to hit that notification bell for whenever a new video gets posted.